Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. My name is Andrea. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about giants. Most of us, if we've been to Sunday school or we've had a grandmother or just in hearing, we know the story of David and Goliath and how David was this little guy, did not have any experience in warfare. But he went up against a Philistine and a giant at that, who was very much familiar with battling and with wars and with armor. But David, in his boldness, was not afraid to go up against this giant because he knew who had his back. He knew who was standing up for him. He was not afraid. He was not concerned. He knew that the battle was going to belong to him. And while Goliath stood feet over David, was bulkier than David, had more experience in war and in weaponry than David, in comparison, it was David who was the giant. In the natural, David was small. He was a kid. He did not have the experience of Goliath. He did not have the stature of Goliath. But inside, David had the faith of God. He had the confidence in God, which made him a giant, which made him stand over Goliath, which made him stand tall, which gave him a boldness, which gave him something that Goliath did not possess. So the question that I have for you today is, while you may not have the stature of a giant, while you may be 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", while you may even be 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", while you may be that height, are you a giant in God? Do you stand tall in God? Do you know and do you have the confidence that no matter what you face, God will have your back? David was not concerned about winning the battle. He was not concerned about whether or not he could overtake Goliath. David knew that with God standing with him, God standing within him, he knew that he could defeat this Philistine. And we have to have that same confidence. We have to have that same boldness that no matter what we face, no matter who we face, no matter what they look like in comparison to ourselves, that we are giants in God. That if God is standing with us, if God is on the inside, that we are giants and we have the ability to overtake the enemy. We have the ability to triumph above our giants. So whether or not that giant is trying to get that job, whether or not that giant is dealing with illness, whether or not that giant is dealing with a child or family members who are having a hard time, who are struggling, who may be at war with you, whether or not that giant is something that you desire that has not come to fruition as of yet, whatever that giant is in your life, be a giant in God and know that no matter what comes up against you, that you can overtake the giant, that you already have the victory, that you have already won. There is nothing that's impossible for God. There is nothing that is too big for God. There is nothing that is too difficult for God. So if we are standing and walking in our giantness and in the capacity of a giant that God has put within us, we already know that we have won, we have triumphed, we are victorious. The battle is not ours. The battle belongs to God. David knew, even though he went out and he captured, he got his 3 stones out, or he got his stones out and he was ready to take down Goliath, It only took one stone to take down this great giant. It only took one time for David to say, I come against you in the name of the Lord. And we have to have that same boldness, that same tenacity, that same power, that same strength to stand up and say, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jehovah, in the name of God, we can overcome. Be a giant today. Be a giant in God. Know that if God is before you, and I like to say if God is before you, meaning if God is walking ahead of you, and if God is for you, in other words, if God is on your side, nothing can stand against him. If God be for you, nothing can stand against you. Have an awesome day. Be a giant in God, and we'll see you next time on Talks in the Car.